Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Arthur Invests. Good to be with you this afternoon. Had an article pop up on my email this morning, and I wanted to share it with you. What I like to do from time to time is see articles, break them down a little bit, and then try to see what I'm reading, at least break down what I'm reading and contrast it against my investment philosophy, and just see where the two mirror up. And then maybe take that info and try to see if we can make some predictions or hypothesis about the future and try to position ourselves accordingly. So, look, with that said, I want to share this article here that just came up. Let me pop that up there on the screen. So, hopefully, you can still see that. All righty, let's look here. Okay, April existing home sales drop, marking 3 straight months of declines. Now, the way that this is written can be a little confusing. I mean, if you don't follow real estate, you would maybe even think possibly, if you're living under a rock or you're not in the know, that declining sales means that the housing market could be in jeopardy or there's something wrong. And it's completely the opposite. I mean, what this is essentially saying is that home sales, meaning the velocity, the number of transactions, is down for the third month. That doesn't say anything about demand. That doesn't say anything about future price escalation. That is just talking straight up. There is a less number of transactions happening. And this is the third month of that trend. That's what this is saying. So that's really should communicate to all of us that there is a super big inventory problem, which is interesting, right? I mean, I knew that there was going to be a bottleneck in inventory just based on what we were reading with COVID, but I thought we would have seen a lot of that work its way through. I think we're just getting started. So it kind of says a couple of things here. It says sales of existing homes dropped 2.7% in April from March. That means that there was about 2% less transactions this month versus last, right? That's interesting. And the overall supply, this is the key. This is kind of the reason. The supply at the end of April is down 20%. Okay, think about that for a second. There is less supply 1 month over there by 20%. Think about it like a toothpaste tube. We're just squeezing those prices. If there's only a few number of houses for sale in these markets, it's going to escalate into bidding wars, people waiving appraisal contingencies, people waiving inspections. And I have a lot of friends that are realtors, and I tell you, this is exactly what's happening. In fact, I will tell you, just in my little neighborhood here in San Dimas, all the houses in the last month and a half to 2 months that have sold, not one, this is an interesting, I've only counted about 8 of them that sold in the last couple of months in this little zip code here. Not one of them, get this, not one of them sold for less than 50,000 over asking price, right? So they're asking for 800,000 at the list price. They're exiting that transaction at 850, 875. Very interesting. And so what that does is, you all know who've purchased a home, but if you're not familiar with the process, as soon as those prices get recorded, that now becomes the comparable sale for the next transaction. And so that aggressively moves the market up north pretty quickly. And I got to tell you, as long as this supply issue is in place, you're going to continue to see price acceleration at this level. We're talking some crazy numbers just in my neighborhood. We bought this house 2019, right before the pandemic in December, right? A couple of months before, for about 700,000. I'm going to tell you right now, I have no problem blinking an eye thinking we can get this for 915. No problem telling we can get 915 for this house. And I'm just based on people going crazy. We got a nice little property here. It's got a good view. I think we can get that. But let me tell you folks, 200 grand in appreciation, even 100 grand in appreciation in 1 year is unheard of. Let alone 2 years. So I got to tell you, this is very interesting. And we're seeing this type of acceleration in pricing. And so, another piece that gets called out here is the median price of an existing home sold in April was $341, which is about a 20% increase. This is absolutely nuts that we're seeing this level of appreciation. Now, for those of you who have followed the process here, if you purchase rental property, I'm going to tell you the way that you measure your returns a lot of times is going to be about the amount of money you put into the deal, right? And so typically that would be your down payment. So if you put 25,000 down for your down payment on a $100,000 home, and the property goes up by 20%, right, which would be effectively 20 grand in this example, That would be 20K of a return on your investment of 25 grand. That doesn't include cash flow. That doesn't include mortgage paydown. That doesn't include mortgage interest deduction. And that doesn't include inflation, right? Those are all things that are happening. And so when you're talking about the acceleration of returns, this is unseen. It's just fantastic if you own property. And if you haven't, this is definitely something to be kind of keeping your eye on. But there's another thing here that I wanted to call out. So it talks a little bit here saying that sales are about 33.9% higher than in April, right? That's an anomaly. Things are still moving strong. I think the thing that was pretty interesting though, this is the statement, or at least the paragraph I wanted to call out here. So high demand and rock bottom supply continued to push prices higher. The median price of an existing home was no. Okay, that's not it actually. Sorry, I'm looking here. Okay, here we go. Much of that large increase in the median price is due to the mix of homes that are selling. There's far more activity on the higher end of the market where there's supply, right? Their supply is plentiful, and very little activity on the low end where the shortage is the most severe. So let me just translate this for those of you who aren't following this, because I kind of broke it down awkwardly there. So you're looking at a market on the top of the spectrum is the higher end homes. Let's say, 700 grand and above, or 600 grand and above. That's considered the higher end of the market. They're saying where there is supply, that's actually on the top end. That stuff's still moving quick, but that's where most of the, inventory is existing. The further away you get from that, the more affordable the properties are. They are flying off of the shelf. So this is pretty interesting. So as an example, sales of homes priced between 100,000 and 250 were unchanged from a year earlier. Sales from homes priced between 750 and $1 million rose about 146%. And this is exactly just repeating what I said. So basically, on the affordable level, entry level properties, these are not moving. 100 to 250. There's still steady supply here, but there's not an increased amount of inventory that we need to be able to lower prices down, or at least to stabilize costs. Majority of the transactions are happening at the top of the funnel. So just interesting to kind of call that out. So what do I think this means? Well, you're getting a lot more opportunities at the top of the funnel, but the bottom funnel remains pretty locked. There's just not a lot of people letting go of those properties on the low end. Now, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for you potentially if you're looking at getting into the game? Well, here's what it means. You're going to have increased competition from homeowners, but moreover, you're going to also have increased competitors in kind of my neck of the woods, right? Some folks that are buying in all cash. Now with these types of accelerated equity positions that we're seeing here, you're going to see some speculators, if you haven't already, enter the market purely going for an equity play. They're not really going to be interested in cash flow, although that may be a part of this process. We're going to start to see that affordability piece really shoot up the gains. And I think houses that are going for a 180 right now, if things stay on this trajectory in 6 months, that house will be going north of 220. I know that sounds crazy. It might be a very big, bold proclamation, but I'm going to make it here. Let me give you an example. A house we're buying here in the market that I invest in, Central California. We're about to close on it. When we put this thing under contract, we put it under contract for 190, 3 bedroom, 1 bath. It's about 1,000 square feet. And that was a little bit below. I thought it was going to be somewhere around like 195 is probably what the market value of that thing was. Well, we just exited that transaction today and we closed, and the appraisal came in a couple of days ago. You'll never guess this, right? We thought it was between 185, 195 is where the value was. So we settled on 190. The property value is at 215. 215. That's what the appraiser said. This is before the value add stuff that I was going to do, which is kind of enclose the garage and add a second bathroom to really maximize the value. But we've already captured about 20 grand in equity without actually doing anything. And so when you have prices accelerating at this rate, you're going to start to see a lot more activity coming in. That just shows you there's just a ton of people frothing at the mouth to get in. So, single family homes is going to be a great place to be in the short term. I think even long term, if you can make the numbers make sense. And specifically, keep an eye at the lower end of the market. I think you're going to see these properties continue to accelerate. So just a little heads up, we'll be following this up next month as well, just to kind of see where these things land. But interesting changes happening in the market. Continue to see price acceleration, low supply, and it doesn't seem like this is going to change anytime soon. So more to come. But thanks for watching. And if you like the content, click like, click subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. And take care.